Tanya's best analysis of the day. Take it away.
Well, Jane, in my opinion, the problem is that the defense realizes that there's no real value in Zimmerman speaking to the prosecutor. I followed the Conrad Murray case very well. He spoke to the prosecutor. That's what hung him. They want him to be quiet. He wants to speak. That's probably the reason.
Tanya, how did the police handle this?
Well, in my opinion, I think they handled it very poorly. One of my biggest issues is how do you close a preliminary investigation when you have not spoken to all the witnesses? How do you have investigators who are not calling back witnesses who are trying to give you information? Now, I don't agree that there might have been a purposeful cover-up, but I think it was a lazy investigation. The rhetoric, the shallow, trite rhetoric being spewed forth by these men who, one, are not wives and most likely have never met a wife, should be stopped. I take great offense personally because they assume that all of us who marry athletes were going after them. The whole gold digger issue. It's ridiculous and it shows a level of stupidity. I, like most of my women friends who are wives of athletes, are educated and who have had careers prior to meeting our spouses. It's not until you go down and you say I do that their lives begin to overshadow your lives. These gentlemen are just throwing.
You got two guys here. Tanya, you have a legal analyst, as the estranged wife of Jason Williams, and as an African American.
Well, as an African American, I think that we've risen above thinking that someone should or should not go to jail based on race. I think that most people are happy that the jury has come to a decision, and if the jurors have decided that he is guilty, then the defendant, Dr. Conrad Murray, needs to go to jail. As a wife of someone who has been there, I know what it's like to sit through verdict watch, and I know how anxious you are, and you continue to try to feed yourself the most positive affirmations as you're waiting there. The problem with this is Dr. Murray had to understand, as well as his lawyers, the jurors didn't take long enough, and therefore you would assume that it was a guilty verdict.
Yep, and finally, why is it so important for Janet Jackson to be here as the defense case begins?
I think Janet's going to be here not because the prosecution wants her there. She knows it's important to be a family unit. What the defense is not doing is having any support for Dr. Murray.
Well, it's going to be moving forward. Well, I think it's going to be difficult first because even in the preliminary hearing, which is Monday, you might not even have a charge that day because I would suspect the defense is going to have a question on his competency. And if there's a question of competency, the next step is that he is moved to a state hospital where they will do evaluations to see if he's in fact competent to understand the charges that will be levied against him.
2 and 3 pieces of advice are:
make the phone call, keep yourself safe, and find somewhere you can go in case of an emergency. Never ever allow yourself to be in harm's way. It doesn't matter how much he may say he loves you, how much you can work it out. If you feel that you are being emotionally or physically abused or the potential of that, get out of the situation and get somewhere safe.
that domestic violence hotline, and she's written a motivational book, and she's also one of the stars of Basketball Wives LA. Hot show. Welcome to Good Day New York. Nice to see you.
Thanks for having me. I love the show. Right. I love it. It's so much fun. You know, you guys have a blast. It's like it's not work for you. I'm jealous.
Now for the National Domestic Abuse Hotline?
Yes, I am. I am a spokesperson for the hotline, and what I try to tell women is don't do what I did. You know, I didn't make phone calls when I probably should have. I didn't talk to my friends and explain to them what was going on. Don't make the mistake I did. Find someone you trust. Speak to them. If you don't have anyone, call the hotline. Just the speaking or telling your story is liberating, and you'd be amazed how much further you go once you've let it out. The alleged tapes of Mel Gibson, I feel a couple of things. First and foremost, I'm enraged because it wasn't a year ago that we celebrated as a country the fact that we put an African American in office and we came together. And then you hear this and you know that racism is still alive and thriving in the hearts and in the language of someone else that we celebrate. So on that level, it enrages me. But I'm also disgusted because yet again another man, a powerful celebrity, has the unmitigated gall to think that he can threaten and bully and berate a woman that has loved him and bore his child.
Hi, Kelly. You're now the voice that so many people recognize. What's it mean to be such an integral part of tonight's event?
I'm excited, but I'm really grateful. I don't ever take for granted when someone asks me to participate in anything. I mean, as the business goes, here today, might not be here tomorrow. You know, And then tonight is just so special because I have the opportunity to pay tribute to someone very, very dear to me, and somebody who, from the beginning of my solo career, came and found me and told me, sing, girl, sing. So yeah, I'm excited to be a part of tonight, and I'm really glad that they've given me the opportunity to pay tribute to my friend.
Well, as a woman of faith, you probably believe that there are no coincidences. Why do you think God allowed Whitney to be with you the night before she passed? What does that mean to your life?
You know, I have played that moment over and over and over again in my head, and you know, it was just so much bigger than any of us who were in the room. I feel like that was definitely about, I mean, God knew, even though we didn't know, that that would be the last time we would hear her. It wasn't even about her being on the stage with me. It was about that being the last thing that the world heard her say. Yes, Jesus loves me. It started for her in church. And even though we weren't in a church that night, the message takes you back to her foundation. And I think that that's most important, that where she started never left her.
And what's the greatest piece of advice that Whitney Houston gave you?
The greatest piece of advice Whitney ever gave me was to not allow this business to become the thing that ran my life. She encouraged me to keep my family intact and to make sure that I always had a life that existed outside of the business, because the business would burn you up and you needed something to go home to.
Now, Celebrity Chef Dave Martin.
Oh, hello.
So great to see you.
You too. Welcome to Crave.
Thank you.
Let's have a seat.
Well, thank you for allowing me to bring my girlfriends to your new, hot, amazing space, Crave on 42nd Street. We are so excited about coming this evening. Now, we're coming here because you are quite the celebrity.
Yeah, in my own mind. Yeah.
No, you really are. You are a fan favorite on Top Chef. And you know what? I enjoyed it so much. What was that experience like for you? Well, I'm excited that some of my girlfriends are coming. Now, you might know a couple of them by face. One is Jackie Harry, and Tamara Tooney, another great actress. And then I'm bringing my socialite friend.
Okay.
the socialite. Her name is Tara Newman, and she's from the Hamptons. Now she travels the world, experiencing different places and different foods. I need to let you in on a little secret.
Okay.
Now, my girlfriends, they believe everything that I tell them. And I've said to them, there's this new craze in the restaurant industry where we can go into high-end restaurants with celebrity chefs and bring whatever we want. We can bring in our fish or we can bring in our meat, and they will make it absolutely magical. And they bought it.
All right.
So the divas that they are, they're gonna think that we're going to a fancy schmancy gourmet market, but I have a surprise for them.
Okay.
I need you to play along with me.
Oh, no problem.
We're gonna
No
have
problem.
a great time.
What do
Okay,
you
so
get?
what do you buy? What do you buy in Target?
She's right. Well,
They do have some.
One thing one item that I do buy, and actually there's a Target in the Bronx too, not too far from my house, is underwear. I buy my lingerie from Target.
But you can't call it lingerie if it's in Target. It's just underwear. Do you have to be an established older woman to go after a younger man, or can you just be an old hag and say, I just...
See, I think it's normally applied to the established, moneyed older woman.
Beautiful, actually. That was a good one.
And the good-looking younger guy.
Head is head.
It's not like
No, he doesn't have to be good looking. He has to be sexually unstoppable.
Well, he's not going to be like some schlub with a backpack.
No, he's got to be able to be great with sex. Wait, that's the number one.
Listen, you're speaking to a cougar. You can't tell a cougar what a cougar is. I spoke to the chef, and what he said was essentially he needs to use the freshest fish possible. And the freshest fish possible are fish we catch. Oh, God.
Let's go fishing.
Ladies, I want to introduce you to Captain Joe, not only.
Hi, Captain Joe.
With the champagne and all?
Priorities.
You're
All right, let's do
celebrating
this.
already?
Go on fishing.
Jack, guys, come on back.
I'll get on the left side of you.
Okay. Isn't there a fishing song I can sing?
I'm going back here with Sam.
And then there were two.
And then there were two.
Excellent. Excellent. Straight as an arrow. That's great.
Straight as an arrow. Okay, that's what I gotta get. Striped bass.
At this point, I think
men cheat more often than women, so that's my premise. So why do you think they do
you know,
it?
I have this constant argument with myself.
Okay.
Are human beings naturally
monogamous.
Okay.
I don't think they are.
No, I don't think they are.
And I particularly
Including
think that,
women, you say?
Yeah, including women. But I think particularly men.
Okay.
Because they're designed and their DNA is scripted to propagate and spread their seed.
Okay. Yeah, so now it's true.
For me, an affair is not necessarily a deal breaker.
Well, is it? But my thing is,
It depends on.
No, I agree with you.
Know what I mean?
I agree.
Is it an affair, which means you have feelings, or if it's just sex? If it's sex for a one-night versus an affair where you have feelings, I think if it's an affair, you're threatened.
This discussion is too European for me.
Now, you will hear me throughout the night call you a lady, because that's what you are. You are a lady. You are not a bitch. You are not a hoe. You are not a whore. You are not a tramp. You are not trash. You are not a cunt, and you're nobody's baby's mama. You're a lady. That's what you are. And ladies smile. We should be smiling up in this place. You're a lady. Rene Descartes, one of my favorite philosophers, he authored, quite arguably, one of the most recognizable philosophical statements of our time. It's cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. I think, therefore I am. How many people have heard of that before? Yeah, I think, therefore I am. And he came to the point where he had to question the existence of all things, because the philosophers do stuff like that. They spend years asking themselves, do they exist? But then he resolved within himself, because he had the capacity to think and to question and to doubt, he therefore existed. I'm not that deep. I can look at myself and I know that I exist. And yet those words, those powerful words, resonated within me from the time that my ears heard them and my mind could understand them. But I had to, expound on that so those words could make a difference in my life. So I expounded on his genius. I think, therefore I am what I think I am. I think, therefore I am what I think I am. What I think about myself, that's what I am. What you think about yourself, that's what you are. I am passionate about women's rights and our abilities to succeed. From a very young age, it was important for boys to know that I could do what they could do, and in fact, I could do better.